Welcome back to the third installment in our series covering everything that you're going to need to know to start playing Warhammer 40k. Last time we went over the Defenders of the Imperium, and today we're going to shift our focus to the Disciples of the Dark Gods that make up the Forces of Chaos. Horrific abominations of the warp made from psychic energy, Chaos Demons are manifestations and extensions of the Dark Gods' will. While some undivided entities such as Be'lakor are present, the majority of demons are servants to one of the four main Chaos Gods: Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh. Broadly speaking, Chaos Demons have some very different playstyle options, from a more Monster Mash heavy style that emphasizes using as many greater demons as possible to more Horde and small arms forces, and lists that fall in between. The demonic legions of each Chaos God possess their own generalized strengths. Khorne demons relish melee combat, Slaanesh demons are fast and furious, Tzeentch demons lean a little bit more towards shooting, and Nurgle demons are there to be obnoxiously durable. Admittedly, the future for Chaos Demons as a fully supported army isn't totally certain. So far in 10th edition, Games Workshop has provided the army with 6 distinct detachments to play with, but has stated that they are not going to receive a dedicated codex for this edition. We are seeing many of the demons be added into the codex of the Traitor Legion that is aligned with their chosen god, such as Khorne demons being folded in with World Eaters. But with that said, even if demons do end up being moved to Legends in the future, they are going to remain playable and casual in narrative games. But let's shift our attention now to the mortal followers of the Ruinous Powers. Disillusioned with the Imperium of Man, Chaos Space Marines have chosen to pledge themselves to the Dark Gods to pursue their own goals. Many Chaos Space Marines are descended from one of the original Traitor Legions from the Horus Heresy, but the Seeds of Chaos can lead someone to become renegade at any point. While Traitor Legions such as the Night Lords, Alpha Legion, Iron Warriors, Red Corsairs, and Word Bearers don't have separate codex supplements like some of their loyalist Space Marine counterparts, these armies are represented within the Chaos Space Marine Codex via detachments that lean into the identities of these various legions. For example, you have the Alpha Legion themed Deceptors detachment. In addition, you can also have your legion be loyal to other Chaos figures such as Abaddon, Vashdor, or Fabius Bile, who also have themed detachments. As a result, Chaos Space Marines are immensely flexible and can play a variety of ways on the tabletop depending on your preference. Their Dark Pact's army rule lets your units take a leadership test, taking self-inflicted damage on a failure, and granting them bonuses such as lethal or sustained hits. Horrific war machines where demons, infernal machinery, and man fuse into one, Chaos Knights are the dark mirrors to the Imperial Knights. Some Chaos Knight houses have allied themselves with the Dark Mechanicum, others worship the Chaos Gods in their own ways, and terrifying mercenaries known as Dreadblades serve no master save their own nightmarish ambitions. Chaos Knights, like their Imperial counterparts, are a very elite army. Chaos Knights tend to put more focus on heavy use of their smaller knight chassis known as War Dogs, but their large knights are nothing to scoff at. You can run all large knights, oops all war dogs, or a mix of both. Carnivores will rip and tear through infantry and vehicles alike, brigands can mow down hordes, and large knights can take down monsters, vehicles, or even Primarchs with their devastating Desecrator cannons. Their army rule, Harbingers of Dread, helps instill terror into your foes. Any enemy unit that is below starting strength will be required to take a battle shock test if they're within vicinity of a Chaos Knight. Should they fail, these infernal war machines can smell blood in the water, and they're going to gain bonuses to wound battle shock units while their enemies struggle to hit them back. Similar to Imperial Knights, if you play Chaos Knights, you will need to be adept at picking your targets and positioning carefully, as your low model count means that you're going to have less room for error compared to other armies. Even if you don't pick up Chaos Knights as a full army, but you think they're cool, you can ally Chaos Knights into any of your Chaos forces to provide terrifying backup to your main army, courtesy of their Dreadblades rule. In a 2,000 point game, you're currently allowed to take 1 large knight or up to 3 war dogs, so long as you remain under the 500 point restriction. Now that we've covered demons and the more undivided Chaos armies, let's look at the most devoted servants of the Dark Gods. Eternally rotting in their armor but unable to feel pain and immune to most injury, the Death Guard march across the galaxy spreading rot and ruin wherever they walk. The Death Guard aim to spread Nurgle's gift across the galaxy in the form of mutation, disease, and decay. Death Guard are an army that tries to defeat their foes not through brute strength, but through resilience and a battle of attrition. They have units that work well in both melee and at range, but do tend to skew a little towards being a mid-range shooting army. Death Guard are not going to be winning any foot races on the battlefield, but once they reach their objective, they are hard to remove as they are far tougher than your average Space Marine. Their army rule, Nurgle's Gift, allows them to emanate an aura of contagion that grows as the battle unfolds. This aura can offer various debuffs to your enemies, as well as benefits to your own forces. Existing in clusters of warbands, the Emperor's Children are servants of Slaanesh and aim to indulge their hedonistic desires through acts of extreme depravity. Some pursue perfection in the form of twisted mutations and surgical alterations. Others aim to experience every possible sensation. No matter what they desire, nothing is ever good enough or extreme enough for the followers of Slaanesh. The Emperor's Children are the newest army to be released for 40k, and are still finding their exact identity. So far, they seem to lean into a more melee-heavy playstyle. This is a fast army full of glass cannons, less a battering ram and more of a scalpel, strategically cutting through their opposition. Their army rule, Thrill Seekers, helps with this by giving friendly units the ability to shoot and charge in the same turn in which they advanced or fell back, albeit with some restrictions that encourage you to weave groups of units in and out of combat as you overwhelm your opponents in a deadly and precise dance. Now, to a personal favorite of mine, Thousand Sons. Masters of sorcery and psychic might, the Thousand Sons are servants of Tzeentch and worship the Architect of Fate through the pursuit of arcane knowledge, power, and by being bringers of change. This is an army of mad mages, schemes within schemes, and deception lurking in every corner. They are cursed with an affliction known as the Flesh Change, a genetic mutation that can appear spontaneously and will transform a Marine into a chaotic monstrosity. Ozek Ahriman, the first and only Thousand Sons Chief Librarian, attempted to put an end to the Flesh Change through a ritual that came to be known as the Rubric of Ahriman. When the dust had settled after Ahriman's rubric, the Flesh Change was indeed cured for the Thousand Sons Legion, but it came at a horrible cost. These rubric Marines were turned to dust and eternally sealed in their armor, now little more than inanimate vessels that await the command of their sorceress masters. Hey, future Brittany here. So Games Workshop was kind enough to announce the new Thousand Sons Codex shortly after I recorded our video talking about them, so wanted to make some quick corrections to make sure any aspiring sorcerers for the Change Your Ways know exactly what they're getting into. In summary, the Psychic phase is back. Sort of. Prior to the release of their codex, Thousand Sons played as a resource management army focused on generating and utilizing Cabal points to perform rituals to help carve a path to victory. The rituals are still there. You can still do things such as move during your shooting phase, deal mortal wounds, and improve the AP of your shooting attacks, but now you do it by making a psychic test by rolling 2 dice. Each ritual has a corresponding warp charge value you need to meet or beat to successfully cast that ritual, and if you really want to improve your odds of success, you can add an additional dice to that roll, but if you roll any doubles or triples, your sorcerer will deal some mortal wounds to themselves or their unit instead. Aside from that though, Thousand Sons feel pretty similar to their pre-codex selves. They're still very much a short to medium range shooting army, though no longer needing to generate Cabal points does open up more list building options for them that are not quite as character based. Now to World Eaters. Less an organized force and more a collection of ravenous warbands, the World Eaters were known for their brutality and rage long before pledging their loyalty to Khorne. The World Eaters were one of the first legions to turn traitor during the Horus Heresy, and their campaigns of death and terror reverberate across the galaxy. The World Eaters are an incredibly aggressive, melee-focused army with okay shooting. If you want to gather blood for the Blood God and skulls for the Skull Throne, you better be prepared to run headfirst into your enemies, get locked into melee combat, and not slow down into either you or your opponent is the last one standing. Their primary army rule, Blessings of Khorne, encourages this playstyle by providing buffs such as rerolls on charges, a chance to fight on death, and added bonuses to your melee weapons. Now that wraps up this installment of our Intro to 40k series. So let us know in the comments if you think you may want to ally yourself with the forces of chaos, and we hope that you tune in next time as we discuss the various Xenos factions that also call the galaxy home.